years I've been driving this train, years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame, cause I came to the...
Welcome to another episode of Just Curious. We got a special guest in the building, you know. Seat is hot, you know, hotter than fish grease. You know, just like his shirt say, he's self-made, you know. And I'm impressed because he's actually younger than me. So, you know, just that's what it's about, man. Just, you know, putting people in the seat that can actually get a game and give information. And by him being younger than me, I can literally learn from anybody. I can learn from a 6-year-old kid, a 50-year-old man. You know what I'm saying? I can learn from it doesn't matter. So I just want to say thank you, man. Thank you for coming on to the show.
Man, I appreciate you for having me, you know, and I agree with you, you know, the older we get, sometimes we forget to remind ourselves that we're always a student to new education, always a student to like things that are going to be able to elevate our game and our leverage and whatnot. So I'm always in student education mode, always willing to learn. So, you know, the fact that I'm younger than you, man, I done learned a lot from you, you know, to even be in this seat right now. So again, I thank you for having me on today.
Definitely. I want to start from the beginning. You know, where it all started.
Not to sound just too cliche, but, you know, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. When I was about 15, I left New York, moved to Florida, Tampa, Florida to be exact. I fell in love with basketball early. So when I moved to Florida, like basketball was like me. I was like 6'3" going into like the 9th grade. So I knew I was playing basketball. Played all 4 years, you know, got a chance to jump in and play AAU basketball, played against like Austin Rivers, Shane Larkins, anybody in that age group that's probably in the NBA, I'd have probably done played against them. So basketball was like my first love. When I graduated high school, came to Cleveland, went to a Division III school out here, and, you know, that's kind of where my journey started. In college, I got into, you know, throwing parties. I got into, you know, doing a lot of community service with my school. And that's when I realized how important culture was to a city like Cleveland. When I realized that, like, number one, didn't have culture. And number two, you know, back then, 2011 through 2015, when I was in college, I was realizing that a lot of my peers now were doing amazing things back then to which allowed them to do what they do now, you know. So it's all been a work in progress. But yeah, that's my little start for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the high school you went to is called Nature Coast Tech?
Correct. That's
a magnet school?
So it was it's like a technical school, pretty much. Like you went there if you were doing a trade. You know, my trade at the time was I was doing like construction. So I was like in like the construction and like auto mechanic class. I really went there to play basketball, right, but you had to like have some type of trade. It's funny because I was just telling my dad, me and him, he was here this past weekend helping me with some stuff. But I was just telling my dad that, like, you know, I've had so many opportunities to like really take that on as a real profession, being younger, and I'm doing the most of it now as an entrepreneur, fixing my own stuff, fixing up my studio, and I wish I would have took more seriousness of it, when I was younger and whatnot. But yeah, it was a technical school. You know, we were one of the best teams in the state, mainly because of our area. We were like top 10 in the state, you know, probably the last 2-3 years that I was there. So yeah.
Yeah. So you went to that's where you went to high school at.
Correct.
So basketball, like a lot of people don't know. Well, I don't really know you from as far as like the whole basketball. I know you from more like business,
right,
marketing, you know, different things like that.
I always tell people, if it wasn't for basketball, I wouldn't be here right now. A lot of the outside people that I know, I've probably seen them first in basketball. You know, I used to play in the Drew Joyce League. I used to play in like the Cleveland Pro-Am, you know, in certain like basketball leagues that were like prominent in Cleveland. So like when I was 19, 20 years old, I was seeing those like who guys in basketball that would come back to Cleveland every year. So I think that's kind of gave me like my first like outside getting to know people, networking experience. And then in college, you know, as I started getting older, was team captain, started doing a lot more stuff in the community with my school. Basketball kind of like opened the doors for me to be able to get into like the entrepreneurship events and curating opportunity, I guess you can say. Yeah.
So how was that like? Cause your hometown is Brooklyn,
Correct.
New York, just
Correct.
like your hat. So going from Brooklyn and moving to Florida, like how was that transition? Cause it was cold there.
Man, it was, you know, and growing up in New York, man, especially in that time, I always tell people like I'm a true person who was in the era of like the LimeWire, like burning CDs. Like I was that kid. Like I was burning CDs, and I would go and rip off a piece of loose leaf paper and write the artist name and the song title, and I would slip it into the slip of the CD, and I would go to school with like 20 of them and sell them in school. So that was the culture for me in New York, because, you know, both of my parents are from the Caribbean, never worked for anybody who's full-time entrepreneurs. They're immigrants. So I'm a first-generation American. So for me, it was like, I'm trying to figure out ways to hustle and like, not just get money, but like learn how to make some money, you know, by myself at a young age. So the culture was different for me in New York moving to Florida, because when in Florida, the weather is good, everybody's so relaxing, the women is beautiful even more, it's diverse out there. There's times where like in New York where, you know, I probably went to Manhattan in the 15 years that I've been there, like maybe 3 or 4 times, man. You know, Manhattan was like a field trip for me.
Really?
Yeah, when you caught in your neighborhood and you just growing up with your parents, sometimes you don't even look at the glitz and the glamour. Wow. It's like a fathom of it, but it's like people who live in Cleveland, like, you know, how many times you really, you know, going to downtown Cleveland like that? Right. If you know, in certain parts of the Cleveland, some people don't even go out in downtown Cleveland, or they'll never make a trip to Columbus ever, and it's 2 hours away. You know what I mean? So that's just how it was for me growing up, for the most part. Yeah,
you're right though, because a lot of people in Cleveland haven't even been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
which sounds crazy.
And we top 5. You know, art museums in the country.
Correct.
People don't go to that.
Never.
I hear a lot of people say, well, there ain't nothing to do there. It's this and that.
Which sounds crazy,
No, it's a lot of stuff to do in Cleveland. You just in that bubble. You got to get out the box. You just got to know the right people, like my man sitting right here. He put together like some of the dopest events in the city, you know?
I appreciate that, man. And I think what helped me do that is, number one, like feeling at it first. I remember I was in college, and you know, a lot of my friends in college who ended up being roommates throughout the time, they're all Kappas, by the way, majority of them. So I hung around a lot of Kappas in college, and they party. So for me, it was like, all right, I'm not a Kappa, but how can I still be incorporated with like my brothers? So I was the guy who was like, all right, instead of like going to the parties, why don't we just throw our own? So I would bring all my friends together who were in Greek organizations, and, you know, put them as the face of it sometimes. And I was the person who was behind the scenes, just like kind of orchestrating everything and kind of putting all the moving pieces together. And then that kind of advanced me into working in diversity affairs and seeing like parties from a professional aspect, and then it kind of elevated everything I'm able to do right now. So I definitely say it starts from practice and feeling before I can just start to think of something that might be dope and actually, you know, see it come to fruition now. Yeah.
I want to get back to this basketball. So like your story is quite interesting to me from what I looked up, because I actually played football and basketball. But a lot of people don't know that.
I wouldn't have known that either. You look like a football player for sure. You know, I mean, defensive end.
Yeah, I was top 100 in Scouting, Ohio. Yeah, basketball was pretty good too. I played basketball too. Okay. So it's just like your story was just kind of interesting to me. Does sports help you, like, as far as in the business?
It does, because one thing that I always, like, I guess you can say, was I don't want to say serious about, but I guess you could say, like, I always took like the most seriousness with was how people respected me on the court. So like, if you felt like I couldn't shoot the ball, when I was practicing, I was shooting the ball. I was shooting even more jumpers and more threes to perfect that. If you were forcing me left, I was practicing my left hand, because I always just wanted to like perfect things that people were saying that I couldn't do. So basketball kind of gave me that leverage to always feel like my back is against the wall, and that I got to do more. I got to improve. I want to be the best player on the field. I want to be the best player on the court. You know, and if I can't be the best offensive player, how can I be the best defensive player? And at times, the best defensive player is your leader. You know, so people would say that I was like the team captain, I was the team leader, and it kind of helped me when it comes to like communicating with people, when it comes to like getting the best out of somebody, when it comes to like, you know, taking accountability. you know, and taking the blame for it right now so that it can progress and move forward for the team perspective. All of that I learned through basketball, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. I learned a lot, like, as far as playing with sports and doing what I'm doing now. So, like, this actually is a new lane for me. Like, when I went to college, I was the best, always one of the best players, probably the best player in the city, you know, especially in football, or one of the best players. But when I went to college, everybody was good.
Everybody's good, man.
Everybody was big. Everybody was fast.
Yep.
You know, so it's like, how do I separate myself from everybody else? So it's just my work ethic, you know, studying film. I didn't like watching film in high school, but when I went to college,
You seen the difference?
guys would get me, and I had the coaches used to yell at me, and I'm like, okay, I played DN, and I went to college. I was 190 soaking wet, but I ran the 4.5. You know, I was strong. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because I couldn't even lift 225 when I first went to college, and they do this thing where everybody has to lift 225.
As many reps as you can.
How many reps you can. How many pull-ups can you do?
Yep.
How many hang cleans and your I think it was deadlift and squat. So I was 1 out of 5 people that couldn't lift 225 when I first went to college. And I was one of those guys, and Booby, what's the guy off Friday Night Lights?
Yeah.
I don't need weights. I was just nice on the field.
Good like that, right?
But college, no, you gotta step your game up.
It slows everything down in college because I'm gonna be honest. The school I went to, once I got caught up to the speed and like the maturity of it, I've realized the advantage that I had because of like my natural athleticism. You know, I just had to get caught up with the speed and get caught up with, like, you know, the size and the strength difference from college. You're dealing with grown men now opposed to 17, 18, 19-year-olds, you know what I mean? So that was the biggest adjustment. I think a lot of people go through those first year or two at times. And then also, you know, you your own critic, I always say, in any college game. Same with, like, any professional. Yeah, professional's a little different because you're getting paid for it. But in college, outside of your coaches, your teammates are still in competition with you sometimes. Yeah. They want your spot. Yep. You your biggest critic because, you know, you're going to have to be the one telling yourself you got to go harder. You're the one who's telling yourself you want to reach more and, you know, you want to be All-American or you want to be first team this. And I think sometimes people don't understand the seriousness and, like, the true obsession you got to have with, like, really being that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like even guys like LeBron or Kobe, like people look physically they gifted. You know, got the size, you know, everything. But they get up every morning, 5, 6 in the morning working out. You know what I'm saying? So to go back into what I was just telling you, that's what I do. Like I get up every day, 5:30. I read. You know what I'm saying? I run at least a mile a day. You know what I'm saying? And it's just I'm getting better. I'm learning something every single day. You know, last 3-4 days, I'm studying you. I'm learning. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching film. I watched your highlight tapes. I'm like, oh shit, he had a little Euro step. Like I didn't even know you could jump. Like the way you walk, ain't got the knees. I said, okay. So I was like, wow, that was pretty cool to me. And then just learning, like, you know, you went to BW,
right?
You know, went to Bowen Wallace, and you played college ball, right? You know, so being able to manage sports. Working and going to college, like how was that for you?
Man, it was and being away from home, you know, it was difficult. I'm not gonna lie. I think sometimes it's what makes me so less emotional because I mean less emotional. I mean I don't get my emotions involved in a lot of stuff. I kind of separate it from business sometimes because you have to be emotional about what you care about and what you love, but when your feelings get hurt, you got to separate it sometimes. You know, I think that's one thing that all those things that I was facing at the time showed me. Like, yeah, I was homesick, but I had a game the next day and I had a test the next day, so I couldn't even think about that. Yeah, I wanted to stay in the gym later or get some more work done, but I may have had work in the morning that I had to get up and do. So I always just looked at it like, you know, at the end of the day, it has to get done. You know, so I never really try to force myself to like make crazy decisions or make decisions that I knew would like take me out of my comfort zone. I always made decisions that I knew that I can grow from, learn from, and even if it wasn't the right decision, I would confidently be like, all right, I made that mistake, and I can, learn from it for the most part. But yeah, going to school at Baldwin Wallace, man, it was different, especially looking at it where it's at now, seeing how much like development they've got there, how much money they got, diversity numbers is going up. I remember when I was there, it was like less than 20% diversity on campus. Like, I mean, like less than 10% blacks on campus. You know what I mean? So for me, and when I left from actually being a student there, I actually worked in admissions, which I don't think many people know. So I used to actually recruit for Baldwin Wallace. Wow. I used to recruit in the entire state of Michigan, the entire state of Indianapolis, as well as like Lorain, Elyria, Norwalk, like the Huron counties. And I would have to recruit, and not only recruit like diverse students, but I'm a black guy going to a school out in like Norwalk, telling them to come to a predominantly white school, but I'm the black guy going there, you know what I mean? So I'm walking into Norwalk, or I'm walking into some of these predominantly white high schools, and they're like, okay, there's probably maybe 10 black kids in my school right now. And so it was just a lot of things within diversity that it showed me that was important when it comes to like community, and it comes to like if I'm recruiting somebody to come here, like if I'm asking you to come here, right, what's the importance of when you get in here that I can actually show that I cared about you being here? And that's where I felt the disconnection a little bit when I would recruit students to the college. It wasn't reflecting it on campus. Like if I'm telling them you're going to have an amazing experience, you're going to be able to do this and this and this, and they really can't do that because the resources isn't allowing them to, or there's not funds that are allocated to that specific demographic, it was a little more difficult. So I think that's why I kind of left the admissions and higher education route, because I was making great money. I was traveling. I was being able to still coach, and at this time I'm 23, 24 years old. So I'm young. I'm living in a beautiful apartment on the west side. Beautiful view of downtown Cleveland. I'm driving a Beamer. I'm cool. I'm nice. I'm like, damn, this is out of college. But then I was like, I'm not getting fulfilled. I left the job making, 50, 60,000 a year to, it's the first time I said this on camera, making $10 an hour at the radio station, So I took like a $20,000 pay cut, and decided to go full time at the radio because of my passion. I wanted to jump into music. I wanted to jump into media. I wanted to jump into marketing, and I felt like I needed to be at the height of what people think in Cleveland is the shit. And at that time, it was the radio station.
Wow, that's dope, man. And one thing I admire is I ask people that, like, what do you think is more important, the money or the relationships? So by me listening to you, you was working at admissions office, you recruiting. I used to work in the admissions office too. Okay. When I went to Notre Dame. Okay. And I would have to call and do cold calls. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Notre Dame College. Yep. Yep. And then it was funny. I remember I used to work there, and I worked at White Castle. That was my first job. So like one time I called somebody. I was like, "Hey, yeah, welcome to White Castle." I was like, I had to hang up real quick.
Cause you get so used to that whole automative, delivery. I feel you on that. Yeah, I used to hate that, man. I used to hate that.
So yeah, relationships, man. And even in high school, your school wasn't like a big school in high school. It was like 1,400 people or something like that there.
Correct.
And I had looked it up. It was like it started in like 2003, so
it was new,
pretty new school.
Fairly new, yeah. But one thing that's different about the high school I went to was like it was like a mini college campus, meaning that like you got the opportunity to like walk out your building and go to another building. Like the cafeteria had its own building, the gym was its own building. So you would like, and the courtyard was like a little courtyard outside. So you got a chance to like feel like you were in a different environment opposed to just being in one big ass building. Like I realize all the schools here in Cleveland is just one building. Right. It's upstairs, downstairs, gym is here, that. You don't even leave the building at all. So in Florida, we got a little spoiled from being able to walk out this building, go into this building, go to the courtyard and whatnot. And just it was a little bit more bigger for the most part. So it gave me a little bit more opportunity to be a little more wilder back in the day, man. Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah. You like real family oriented. I see you got like sisters and you're real close with your mom.
Yep. So I got 4 sisters, two twin sisters who are younger than me, and I got a youngest one who's she's about 14 Her birthday is the day after mine at that. And then I got an older sister, entrepreneur as well. She owns a group home. She does the Airbnb business, and she lives out in Tampa in Florida. Parents, I'm real close to my parents. My mom, she actually been working in a group home and in that field for like the past 20 years. She's opened up numerous of group homes. She's in Florida. She does Airbnb as well a little bit. And my dad, he originally from Jamaica. Been doing real estate the past 15, 20 years, from everything from apartment buildings to cribs in New York. Just recently, probably the past couple years, ventured off into Atlanta, doing some real estate in Atlanta too. So real family oriented, definitely, because I'm the only boy. I got no brothers. Right. I got all aunties, so I don't have like no first uncles. My mom got all sisters too, no brothers. So for me, like, females is what kind of it was like my go-to, I have a soft spot, not just because it's females, just more so because I take their opinion. They got taste. They gonna tell you if shit look good or not, and they take their emotions out of it sometimes, unless they want something, but
yeah, women strength is my weakness, but women weakness is my strength. That's why I like keeping women around. And I grew up, I had a lot of sisters too, but I also have brothers as well. Like about 15 to 20 brothers and sisters.
Damn.
So
I don't understand that, man. I be hearing people say that, like, their parents really had like 15 kids. Like, Jesus.
Well, mine was a little different. Like, biologically, my mom and dad had 8 kids.
Gotcha.
So then I was in foster care, so then I got adopted. So, and then now I got business brothers.
Makes sense.
So it's like, I got a lot of family.
That
Family
makes
is
sense.
big.
That makes sense.
How do you feel as far as like the support, like coming from like people that's close to you, like family, friends?
I think it's a gift and a curse, because I always tell people, like, everything I'm doing now is new for my family. Like, I'm the first person in my family. I'm the first person to graduate in my family. Like, my immediate family, grandmother, parents, siblings, aunties, uncles, first immediate one to graduate. But then also it's like, any business venture that I'm doing now is new to them. Like, they know about Airbnb business. They don't know about like owning a creative studio. They don't know about like working with brands, because that's not what they were doing when they were my age. They were raising kids and hustling. So I think the support is there, definitely. I think sometimes the difficulty is like showing them the clarity and the understanding of it in my world so they can understand it. I tell my parents, like, for example, me and my dad, we was working on my kitchen floor of my studio this past weekend, and he walking around, it's a 6,000 square feet space. He's like, damn, it's a lot of space in here. Like, what really are you doing in here? I see it's keeping you busy, but like, it's a lot of fucking space in here. And in my mind, I'm like, my dad, he probably doesn't even know half the things that can be done in here, because he's probably never seen it done before. But the support is given definitely when it comes to ideas, when it comes to finances, and when it comes to just being able to take a break. I'm huge on like just work. But when I really do get a break, I like put my phone down and I'll indulge in like my family. I'll indulge in like what my friends are doing and celebrating my friends, or just spending time to just be at the house. I always think the house is a perfect place where you can find yourself if you have a comfortable home environment. And at times that's something that I've been challenged with, but I think where I'm at now, I'm at peace. I'd be excited to go home, some days.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Like, I know as far as like my parents and a lot of, parents from that generation, they like goal was to have their kids go to college. So it's like a little different now. We in the entrepreneurial phase. Everybody wants to learn. People learn about credit and stocks and real estate and different things like that. So I know I didn't graduate. I actually like dropped out my last year. So one thing I learned
from college.
Yeah, from college. I was just at a point where it's just like I was overwhelmed. I actually was commuting. I was a top player, and then I waited to the last minute to grab my scholarship. So by the time I wanted to get the scholarship, they all reneged on it and gave it to somebody else. So I had to commute.
What made you wait so long?
Just weighing options. Like, I know Akron was trying to give me a full ride.
So you was trying to see
and then
whatever
was the best fit. Toledo, but then I think Akron coach got fired, so the person that was recruiting me it wasn't there no more. So it was just like, dang. So Northwestern wanted me, but they said I had to walk on my first year, prove myself, because I only played football my first 2 years. I mean, my last 2 years in high school. So waited too late. I had to commute. I was sleeping on floors in college, and the guys I played football with, you know, sleeping on floors. I had to sneak food out of the cafeteria so I can eat. Car falling apart, you know. So I had a lot working at Admissions. I'm working at White Castle. My car doing my shocks messed up, so I'm bouncing up and down when I drive. Like, but you would never know, like, the stuff I was going through. It's like living in the projects. You don't know that the predicament is messed up because it's your reality.
Facts.
Now I look, I'm like, dang, I was like way fucked up for real. So, but nobody knew the stuff that I was going through. So I really feel like I didn't have a chance to have fun for real. I had to like be an adult, you know what I'm saying? At 18, 19, 20 years old. So I got to the point where my last year, I only had like 5 classes left. And then my guidance counselor said, yeah, you got 11. I'm like, dude, I've been coming to you every year. And now you telling me I got another 6. So it was just like one of those type of things. And yeah, man, I was scared. I was like, dang, I'm about to graduate. What I'm gonna do in my life? I wasn't playing football no more because I wound up getting hurt my last year. So I'm sharing minutes with a freshman. And speaking of hurt, I seen that you got hurt in 2013.
I did. Yeah.
Like, how was that for you?
It actually changed my life, man. I tore my meniscus, and that was actually the first summer that I stayed in Cleveland. I stayed in Cleveland the entire summer. Got surgery. Got a job working at the university. Just after my freshman year, so I missed like a little bit of my sophomore year. Came back like the second half of my sophomore year. I was actually academically ineligible also. So I was hurt and academically ineligible. So I'm like, fuck. Like I'm like, man, Ohio has been real, but I'm going back to Florida. You feel me? And I never forget to this day, like one of my big brothers, he actually called me today. I'm gonna call him after this. His name is Promise Cabell. He's from Elyria. He's like one of like Elyria's best basketball players. He went to Baldwin Wallace. He was a senior when I was a freshman. But after my freshman year, he actually ended up getting like another medical year because he got hurt and shit like that as well. Long story short, I got a chance to like hang around him and his family, and I would go back to Elyria like every weekend, and you know, he kind of like took me in as like a real brother. He ain't had no brothers either. So from that perspective, it let me know that number one, there's good people out here, and number two, like I had to challenge myself. You know, if I would have went home and just got comfortable, I don't know if it would have been the same. I'll take that back. It was actually my sophomore year going into my junior year is when I got hurt and I was ineligible. So it wasn't my freshman year. Freshman year I went home to Florida and actually trained all summer. Trained all summer, came back sophomore year. Second half of the year I started every game, and you know, probably kind of started every game for the rest of my career. But the injury, man, it was a minor setback for a major comeback. It mentally allowed me to like be able to watch the game from like a coach's perspective and like read players and, you know, feed into people's weaknesses to be able to use it for my advantage. And then also kind of like I see where my team was going. Like we weren't super athletic. We weren't super like, you know, deep on bench. But like the first 5 or 6 guys, we were like top 10 in the conference. So I realized like, all right, we just got to be as strong as we can as a unit within our top 6 or 7, and we can kind of do any and everything that we need to do. So yeah, it was really just for me at that time was about a lot of adjustments. It's what teaches my mind to really like know, even though I'm in a fucked up situation, I know I'm gonna get out of it. Like I know I could be down bad financially right now, but like another week or two, you can get 3 times that you down. You know what I mean? And you back up again. So like if you move sometimes with like the same energy as like you are, you know, in the stance where you're in, like in your life,
right?
It could miss a blessing, or it could mess up an opportunity, or it can make you wait even longer to chase something. You know, picture not having the money to do an event or do an idea,
right,
and just giving up on the idea. But then somebody comes to you a week later and says, "Hey, you know, I want to give you $5,000 for helping me with this, whatever it is, or I want to do some work with you. And now you got the money to do it, but you don't got the idea no more. You stopped. You gave up. You gave up the plan. You know what I mean? And I always tell people, like, even if you are at your worst or at down bad, the creativity in you was what's kicking the door to, like, still find a way to be able to come out. Because once you are back up again, you want to be able to just turn that back on and continue to, produce what you was just, working towards. So.
Right. Yeah, I pretty much was one of the best players my whole life. And then my last year, I got hurt. I was working at an admissions office, and it was funny because the dean of the school, he played basketball. So he was like, they needed another player. And I'm like, should I play? But they didn't know I can hoop.
Right.
I play football or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, I'll play. But they used to always talk trash. So I'm like, I'm about to cook them. Like, they don't even know.
Right.
So I convinced them to let me play. This literally was 2 weeks before two-a-days. So I went to the gym.
Just at Notre Dame.
At Notre Dame. And I'm busting all of them, killing them. Like it was like, man, it was like the admissions team, and then they had like the teachers and all that was on one team. I'm killing them. So I wound up twisting my ankle. Like, I came down, I rolled on somebody's ankle, and I was limping, and it was like, oh man, nobody can find out. No one, they didn't want to know that they was the reason why I got hurt. Now, I wound up, my first year, I sat the bench. Actually, my first two years in college, I didn't even play. Like, I sat the bench. I used to literally throw water on me, act like I played like I was sweating or whatever. Imagine being a starter your whole life and then just sitting the bench. How would that do to you? So then my junior year, I started playing like special teams, and then I wound up winning MVP in the spring ball game. So I wound up just studying film, just getting bigger, getting better, just in the gym every single day. So then my senior year, I became a starter. I was starting, and then I rolled my ankle.
Damn.
So the day before the first game, I wound up getting better, and then a week before my first game, I had a deep bruised shoulder, hitting with somebody in practice.
Injuries,
bruised
man.
my shoulder. Never been hurt in my life. And then begged the coach, like, no, coach, you gotta let me play. My family coming to see me. You know what I'm saying? I gotta play. And then he like, no, we can't let you play. So he just let me play special teams. I wound up sharing minutes with a freshman the rest of the way.
Gotcha.
So, do you feel like, being hurt and bouncing back, does that like help your growth and your mentality like now? Because I'm sure you took losses along your way as far as in business.
Definitely. And I say, losses, I won't jump into anything specific really, but like what it really does teach me honestly is like, number one, everybody goes through trials and tribulations. Everybody goes through ups and downs. Everybody has debts in the family. Everybody kind of like has their down moment, but what I always see is how does somebody dive back or get back? What are the things that they're doing? What are the things that they're a part of? Even within themselves, what are they creating that allows them to like, get out of that sunken place? So I definitely think that, being down and like kind of going through harsh times is needed for your success, because once you have too much success and let's say Floyd Mayweather did get knocked out and did have a 1 next to the 43 and something, you know what I mean? What's his mentality now? You know what I mean? So I look at it like, yeah, everybody might have a bad day. Everybody's gonna, be down. Some may never be down. And they working 3-4 times as hard so they don't. But for the ones who are just moving with the motion and kind of like are new to things, don't be discouraged when something doesn't go your way. Don't be discouraged when you don't have the correct finances right now. You just got to find the correct resources and know your true power and focus on your true power to grow more within what you're trying to learn or what you're trying to get. I always think sometimes I was watching this interview too, and David Banner was saying that people always want to be next to the celebrities. Like All-Star Weekend was just here, right? And I give a perfect example. Like, it was cool seeing a lot of celebrities in the city and getting booked for events and stuff like that and whatnot. But what do you really think a celebrity is going to do with you unless you really have a super genius level talent, or you're like, you know, the next big thing, and they need you. There's no point of working with you right now because they're helping. They're pretty much going back to dig and grab you to pull you back up. You know. And sometimes you still got more work to do, and that's not even enough sometimes. What I tell people is the true people that we really need to connect with is the people who are doing dope shit right now, and in 3 or 4 or 5 years later, they're going to be that celebrity. That's the most important person. You know, the people that we were in college with. Perfect example. One of my homies who I was in college with, he played football at Baldwin Wallace. He's actually about to open in the Flats later on this year, the first ever golf simulating venue. So it's not Top Golf where you actually swing in and the ball's hitting. Everything is simulated. So it's kind of give you that still like, you know, top golf vibe where you can play games and stuff like that, but it's all simulated golf now. You know, so it's more people, it's shorter wait times, it's, you know what I mean, and it's still in the downtown area. That's somebody I went to school with. You know, it's about to be probably $1 million business, you know. And I look at it like I know him. I can text him and talk to him personally. That's the superstar for me right now because it's like I know how much influence he's going to have in the city when he does open that. That's more important to me than looking at a celebrity who's coming into town that I maybe just take a picture with or talk to for a little bit, because they're still they're looking for the celebrities to praise them a little bit. They're looking for more people to grab them and pull them into situations. So for them to think that, all right, you got to be this one special person, I got to fuck with you, I got to come and grab you. You know, I tell people, like, stop looking for that. I don't look I've been in a room with the biggest celebrities and influencers in the world, some of the biggest rappers in the world, you know, and never once have I asked for a picture. You know, I'll take that back. I did so a couple, you know, depending on who it was. I ain't gonna lie. But it's not just a picture. It's more so of, let me introduce myself and let it know what I do, and let them know like it's because of you that allows me to know that, all right, what I'm doing is real. You know what I mean? Because I like to look and study and see people's journeys and shit like that, and that's what makes it more real for me, is when I see and can touch somebody and say, this is real. You know? So yeah, I think we got to celebrity our friends and celebrity the people who are doing dope shit in real time right now, opposed to like the people that we see on Instagram and the people that we like DM and hopefully they'll read our DMs one day and shit like that. That shit is corny to me, man. Like, I don't see the true tuition in it. Like, how do you really manifest your favorite celebrity, you know, hopefully reaching back to grab you or something like that? I think it's just wasting time, you know. A friend of mine in New York, if he's on live right now, you know, his name is Lil Velli. He's an artist in New York that I work with very closely with. He went to, I can say this now because he went to Bahamas to do a project with P. Diddy. P. Diddy's about to, you know, P. Diddy's about to put some music out. I'm going to just say that. My homie went to Bahamas for a few weeks to go record out there. Great experience. He's out there with like all the big producers. He's out there with like all the big artists in the studio with everybody. First week back from Bahamas, he's in New York. Diddy manager calls him. She's like, hey, J. Cole's coming in town. You know, we need an engineer for the night. J. Cole's is big. He called me like, bro, nigga, guess who I'm in the studio with tonight? It's like J. Cole. I'm like, what? Nigga, I'm coming to New York right now. He's like, nah, we just recording. He just in town, you know what I mean? So he's telling me the story. He's like, you know, Cole gets in there. He's there like an hour early, number one. Cole gets into the studio. It's just him and J. Cole, just like how it's just me and you, right? And he before he goes into like super fan mode, he's like, yo, bro, I went to this, I've been this. He had to show him a little history real quick, like, nigga, this is not a facade, like, this is real, you know? And then, you know, ultimately it was a studio session for J. Cole. My homie was engineering it, but my homie's a real good artist too. So they politicking and talking and whatnot, and, you know, my homie starts playing J. Cole some music. You know, he said Cole is fucking with it, bobbing his head and shit. And then the song goes off. First thing Cole asks him is, who made the beat? My homie says a producer from YouTube. J. Cole's like, oh, okay. And the second thing he says is, what's your rollout plan? My homie's like, I've done this and this and this. I've done this. I've been featured with here and here. First thing J. Cole says is, you know, that's cool, bro, but you're not working hard enough. Like, you know, and mind you, my homies he got songs with Uncle Murder, with Mano, with such like niggas in New York. You know, he's in the studio every day. But Cole is like, that's cool, but it's not enough. He's like, if I signed you right now, it's not enough. Think of it again like that. You think of these artists now that we see, like, you know, I respect somebody like Yo Gotti because I've seen him specifically with the artists that he worked with, how he's changed their lives and make them their own labels and get them they're their own bosses now. I remember seeing Moneybagg Yo when he first came out. It wasn't enough. Now Moneybagg Yo is Moneybagg Yo who got his own artist. So I look at it from that perspective when J. Cole told my homie that, like, if I sign you right now to Dreamville, it's not enough. You know, when Jay-Z signed me and vouched for me, it wasn't enough, but I was that nigga, is what he said to my homie. He said, I was that nigga. He said they knew me because I was that up-and-coming dude who was fresh. It was only another nigga fucking with me was Kendrick. And we know where they both are right now. So he was like, if you not that nigga, then you gotta work like you that nigga. And you around all the, you know, celebrities and influencers that, you know, in New York, use that to your advantage and leverage too. You know, so from that moment, bro, I see my homie go from being in the studio every day to living and eating and sleeping and working. Even if he's not engineering, he'll hire another engineer who he can either work with or he can engineer, and he can just be in the room and making music with now. And now he's on Jim Jones' new project. He's about to be on Dave East's new project that's about to drop. He's every Uncle Murder end of the year wrap up, he's the one who's doing it. He's on Mano's new project that's about to drop, you know, so he's heavily invested in a lot of more music right now, especially within New York. Got music with Trader Truth, you know, from Houston. He got a lot of music out right now, but I've seen him take away the celebrity chasing and just put in the fucking hard work. And celebrity, the people he's around every day that are going to be dope. That are going to be the next top producer in 3 years, that are going to be, you know what I mean? I see him champion those people more than, you know, the people who super celebrity, you know what I mean? I think that's important right now, especially if you got friends who, you know, are at that plateau in the city, even in Cleveland. You know, a mentor of mine who I call him, I've seen where he was at when it comes to like some of the creative things that he does. And I seen that there was a stack of papers on his desk at the same time too. So I see the balance of like real life work and the shit that people only see, which is the glitz and glamour, you know? That's how it is for me.
Yeah, you're right. You know, I'm into the media space and I've been writing movies and different things. So people like, man, you should use this person, or why don't you use this person? And it just be like, nah, I already tried. Like, I literally tried working with certain people locally who are big, but they not as big as they think they are. So in my mind, I think I'm that nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna tell people that, but from where I came from, sleeping on floors, sleeping in my car,
right? You see your progression,
my grind and my growth. Like, I had a label. And I was building. I
remember.
You know what I'm
remember you was in the studio, you was moving around with artists. And I think it's because also people look at us as like somebody who's going to champion them and take their career serious. And that's why I always tell my friends right now, like, you know, I don't manage anybody. I don't manage you directly because I can't be your biggest, like, hey, you got to do this. Hey, you got to do this. Hey, you got to do this. 'Cause I do that for myself. I always tell somebody, the only person who's going to manage me is my girl. Damn near. Because she's knowing everything and understanding everything and you know, is real life, real time. She's like the person who knows everything that's going on. Besides that, I mean, shit, I'm my biggest champion. I'm the one who's motivating myself. I'm the one who's creating my own ideas. So if I don't got no damn manager and I'm making money, what the fuck makes you think you need a manager? You ain't even making no money. So I be having people think sometimes, like, don't get me wrong, I'll consult with you, I'll brand with you, I'll be your best friend in this shit. But a manager has to be someone who is, you already got the shit in motion. You just need them to put the extra screws and bolts in it and whatnot. You're already making money yourself. You know what I mean? I always tell people, if I'm your manager, what money am I taking from you right now? I'm the one who's coming up with the ideas to make money. I should get a bigger split then, shit. If that's the case, you know?
I spent so much money like working with artists, like 30, 40,000. Like, I was homeless. The managing artists is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And once I stopped managing, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, I probably wouldn't even be sitting here doing this interview with you if I was still managing, because it's like once I get into something, I don't just give 100%. I give 120%.
I too.
So it's just like, I just felt like the artists that I worked with, they didn't show their gratitude towards me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't even get a damn Christmas card. Like, I don't just
simple things.
I wouldn't even just manage them, but it was more the marketing behind it. I was the publicist, the you know what I'm saying?
You're
the
right.
booking agent.
You're right. I always tell people sometimes, man, like, the best person to have as a manager is the person who's already right next to you every day. You just, as a friend and as a business person, you have to coach them into that. If I'm not around you every day, if I don't want to be around you every day, then how do you think that I'm the perfect person for you? The perfect person is somebody who you're already friends with, who if I said, hey, we're about to go on the road for this concert, you know, bring one of your homies or two homies with you. The homies that you bring in should be the person that's like your road manager, you know what I mean? If they don't know it, coach them. Tell them shit to watch. Tell them somebody to look at. When I was doing this, I was working with I'm still a part of it. It's my Family Forever. Kendrick Club is a group that I was working with here in Cleveland. And we were really like a team of like, you know, we had a DJ. We had like 2-3 artists on there. You know, we were like a label in a way. We've done shows in Cleveland and Akron. We were going to New York. You know what I mean? So we were moving around and we were seeing people follow the brand. I think one thing that kind of trumped it was that, you know, a lot of the creative stuff and a lot of the marketing and a lot of like the business, whatnot, was new for all of us. So if all of us weren't coaching ourselves or learning more, it was depending on 1 or 2 people to kind of keep the ball moving. And you know, just from playing sports, shit, you can have 1 or 2 people on the team, but if the team ain't good, the product ain't good. You know, so that's what I realized. Like, all right, I'm only as strong as my surroundings. I'm only as strong as the people who are immediately right next to me, which is why sometimes I'm not immediately right next to anybody. I keep people sometimes to a distance, or I keep them as close as I want them to be, because I don't want to get too dependent on that person, or I don't want to get that person too dependent on me or take advantage of me, unless it's a perfect fit. I have a lot of friends here in Cleveland who I work with, but don't understand why I decided to get a studio space. Don't understand why I decided to go and work with a brand like Bel Air, you know what I mean? Because I realized there has to be more. Has to be another thing that I can bring differently to the table outside of just ideas. I can physically bring a brand to the table. I can physically bring a space to the table that can cut cost. I looked at these things as, especially where we were at in the pandemic, as these are the most valuable things. We all can throw parties and, you know, throw events and shit like that, but what is making it different? You know, I didn't want to go get a club. I didn't want to go get like a lounge spot. I wanted to go get something that I can do whatever the fuck it was in there, and people will like it, or if they didn't like it, somebody else would invite them in there if it wasn't me. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to be, you know, in my world that I'm in now, I looked at the diversity of businesses in downtown, and it was important for me to be in downtown. Not only because we spend a lot of money downtown, but we need to have a good representation of when people come into the city, they know what the fuck is going on and who's around, you know, which is why I respect a lot of my peers who are young entrepreneurs, who are opening businesses, who don't ask questions, just do whatever they want to do, because niggas not going to ask you questions when they want to do something or when they need a favor from you. They just going to do it. And if you don't do it for them, they're going to move on, you know? So that's the attitude that I think I've kind of moved forward with now, especially with some of my partners, how I work with them. You know, they kind of let me know, like, hey, you know, people going to use you, people going to take advantage of you, you know, and not to say use them first, but don't be a dummy. You know, don't be a fool to people, you know, using your tactics. And you've gone through that yourself, I'm sure. You know, people want to use your name or use your brand to kind of grow. You know, I mean, I've had people call me at times just for Bel Air because it's in reach. There's other ambassadors of drinks in the city, you know, but they ain't calling them.
Right.
They're not calling Hennessy or Flow Vodka like, hey, I want to do this event. But they calling Bel Air because it's tangible. It's in reach. So for me, it's like, all right, it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy that people feel comfortable being able to call me and ask for me about, but give me that same, like, give me that same respect, or give me that same, like, due diligence as you would if it was Hennessy or if it was a Flow Vodka, you know, or a bigger brand. How would you approach them? Because you see the shit that they do. You know, the shit that I do is not the shit that people are doing every day. It's not the shit that, you know, people in the nightlife are doing every day. It's different, you know? So I just want people to look at it from that perspective too sometimes, because that's what ultimately is going to keep the ball rolling.
Okay.
You know?
I'm gonna throw some words out there, and I just want you to tell me, you know, well, you already spoke on the Kendrick Club and everything. Did that start from BW? Like that?
That did. Yep. We the core of us went to BW, and you know, the core of us is what, like, you know, we still friends and family to this day. But yeah, that started at BW. It started off from us, like, you know, just being guys. I'm not a rapper, by the way. I don't make music. I don't make beats. I don't do none of that. You know, I just have an ear for music, and I don't want to say ear for talent, but I just love exposing new talent. Where I came in was I knew people in other areas who kind of liked the same thing I did. So I wanted to mix art and music together, and that's kind of how I got more involved in like art and music, just combining the two and allowing people to kind of see it for both eyes.
And you got your degree in art. Was it art?
I got my degree in marketing. I got my Bachelor of Arts, but I got it in marketing and sports management.
Sports management, okay.
Yeah.
I went to school for business marketing too.
Business marketing, gotcha.
And minored in entrepreneurship. Sound familiar, doesn't it? Mosoul.
Mosoul is a creative platform that allows music artists, painters, fashion designers to all be in one room together and kind of you know, showcase their talent. I started it in 2018 at a venue downtown. I've done it every year, 2018, 2019, as well as I started in 2017, damn. Think about it. 2017, 2018. 2017 I did downtown. 2018 I did, I'm just thinking about the years. 2018 I did the Cleveland Heights Civic Center. 2019 I did that venue on Lakeside. I did a rooftop over there. 2020 I don't think I did anything. 2020 I was in like my new space already by that time, so I was still doing art shows, but it wasn't Mosoul generated. But I've been doing shows for like the past 4 years, and I think that's what allows me to confidently like stick my chest out and walk into an art museum and walk into, like, you know, to an art buyer and like know what the hell I'm talking about. You know what I mean? If I'm just kind of putting those events together myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Radio 1.
Man, I just left. You know, I love my Radio 1 family. It's been since 2018. You know, it's been 4 years since I've been working with them. All-Star Weekend was actually my last weekend with them. Wow. You know, so I kind of went out on a bang. I miss my Radio 1 family. You know, I miss doing events with them. But I realized that it showed me from a cultural aspect how the city of Cleveland is ran. And I'll never take it for granted. Just from the businesses, just from the the partners, the community partners that they work with, and it showed me how a real like media company is ran, from like advertising, sponsorship, social media. It really gave me a lot of insight on, like, you know, how to write copy and script. You know, I used to, my job was like I would do all the event logistics. So any event that the radio station had going on, me and my team, the team that I was on, we kind of did the behind the scenes creating of it and whatnot. And then I did a lot of the copywriting. So when a contest is on the air, when they're saying like, hey, meet S. Gordon at, you know, such and such with the S. Gordon ladies, like from this time to this time, I'm the person who's writing that script, or me and my team were writing that. So it gave me a lot of confidence to be able to like know how to, you know, speak behind the scenes, but speak from a cultural or from a black perspective in media. So I'll never take it for granted. I met a lot of people from there. I've walked into a lot of offices from there. I've gained a lot of relationships. And I advise anybody, man, who, you know, if you have a passion in a specific field, try to get to the highest point of that field in your city or in your reach. And for me, the radio station was that. Yeah.
Bel Air.
Woo! If you ain't never drink Bel Air, I advise you. It's the best champagne in the world. You know, fairly new to the market a little bit ago, but, you know, for all your other champagne drinkers, this is nothing compared to Bel Air. I told myself going into 2020 that I was only drinking Bel Air and Flow Vodka, to be honest with you. I said that particularly because those were my two favorite drinks, and I seen the transition that I wanted to focus on, which was branding. You know, so I would specifically follow Flow events that were going on in the city. If it was networking events, you know, one of my big homies, Kelton, at the time was working with Flow Vodka heavy in the city. And I was like trying to navigate and like just understand how he was branding it. and it allowed me to really brand the same way that I move with Bel Air, you know. And with Bel Air, the opportunity came from a phenomenal woman of mine who I call my mentor. Her name is Sincere. She introduced me to the rep back in 2019, I think. And we met at Medusa one day, and I was on my lunch break actually at Radio 1. Stopped at Medusa, and was speaking for like 5 minutes, introduced myself. She gave me her business card, and I promise you, like, I was like, oh, it's going. I met the Bel Air rep. I'm good. I'm a part of the team now. She said she wants to talk more. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, I'm sending this email to her to follow up. Like, cool, I look forward to seeing you again. Let's sit down and talk. It took a whole 5 months to get another meeting with her. 5 months. A lot of people in 5 months probably would have done another venture, would have stopped emailing. When I emailed her first, no response back. No, I would text her too. No text message back. No nothing. I promise you, January 1st, 2020, I got an email like, hey, I'm in the market. You know, I got all your messages and stuff like that. And, you know, let's meet up in person. And I'm like, damn, 5 months later, that's what it really took, you know. And that first initial meeting opened the doors. And from there, you know, I've been drinking more champagne. I've seen the increase, and this is where it really makes me happy. I've seen accounts that I've worked with order and go through a lot more champagne because of me. Because of the influence, you know, because I'm throwing events there, I'm giving them deals or I'm helping them get products, and because I'm making it tangible. At a time, you know, there was a Moet Hennessy rep in Cleveland, and he was getting everybody drunk. So for me, it was like, I gotta follow his plan with that, you know. And he's a good person who I look up to, as well as, like, you know, who's been able to navigate through business. But I kind of went through the same realm. All right, I gotta go to shake as many hands, and all the people who I do business with already, bring the Bel Air back to him, you know. And it was different because Bel Air is so broad, meaning that there's more than one color. People are like, what does this taste like? What the hell is that? Why is this bottle white? Why is this gold? So for me, it was like everybody knew the black bottle. I wanted to be different. So I was doing specific events only with this color, you know. And what it did is it allowed my rep to be like, Matt, I seen that you were focusing strictly on this color, or this cuvee, you know. In the past 2 months, 3 months, it increased 40% in Cleveland. So for me, it was like, damn, now that I'm seeing those numbers and I'm watching, like, how, you know, when you work with a brand, you always have to recap, you have to give, you know, you had to kind of check back in with your bosses. What's been going on for the week? How's the numbers? Where are you spending money at? What are accounts going? And I realized at times my name was coming up because I was navigating stuff in Cleveland. I was building new relationships. I was doing events, you know, even through All-Star Weekend. You know, I realized some of the magnitude of events that I was able to do, and the rooms that I was able to get the brand a part of without spending any money. You know, it's kind of what made me say to myself, like, damn, all right, I can get a brand in a room and the people in the room enjoy it, and it's inexpensive for us because all we're doing is really giving product, and we're not giving money to the actual, like, the client, which would be the club or the venue. We're actually just giving product, and they love it. They love the product. If you would have gave them, you know, X, Y, and Z liquor for free, they may have not liked it, you know. But the fact that you're giving them product for free that they like and not even giving them money, you know, it shows the true value of the product. I can give a company $5,000 and product, but the product is shitty, but they're more happy with the money. If I give them no money and product and they're happy with the product, it makes them call back and say, damn, all right, I'm not even worried about the money. We'll make the money, but I want this product more because everybody loves it. So for me, I wanted to integrate Bel Air more with, like, you know, you so used to seeing it, like, with Rick Ross and entertainment. I wanted to show another class inside of it. You know, so that's why I kind of show it and show it off to the doctors, the lawyers, the entrepreneurs, people who don't see it and drink it every day for the most part. Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully I say it right. Bumbu.
So Bumbu is a cognac. I'm sorry. It's a rum made in the West Indies. It's in the Sovereign Brands family. So you got Bel Air, you got Bumbu, you got McQueen, you got Vallone. Vallone's a cognac. That's coming out sometime this year. McQueen is a gin, Bumbu is a rum, and then Bel Air is obviously your sparkling wine, champagne. You know, this is my new you know, there was a time where I used to drink a lot of Remy Martin because of a certain individual. This is my new favorite go-to, you know, rum, you know, cognac right now for the most part. Dark drink, I guess you can say. If I'm drinking anything dark, it's probably Bumbu for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried the Bumbu. You had through an event during All-Star Weekend, and it was really nice. I like how you put together your events. It's not a lot of like different things I'll do because I'll just like polish and a certain type of look. I don't mind, you know, helping people out, but I remember one of my mentors, and that's gonna be a word I want you to elaborate on. But he had told me I was showing them different things, cards, and when I was doing art, like managing artists, CD covers, and he was just like, it's whack. And I was just like, dang, you know, like I thought it was dope, you know, the music, everything. But not only he told me it was whack, but he also showed me a graphic designer, a photographer, you know, and it always think like an executive.
Correct.
So I appreciate people like you who actually take time, and not just for yourself, but you actually care about the look. You care about what things look like, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's important. A lot of people, especially people out of town, I've thrown events and they don't even think it's from here. They'll be like, all right, is that in another city? Like, is that Cleveland?
Because they're not used to it.
They're not used to it.
Yeah.
They think everything is the same. Like, so anybody watching this, invest in your events.
100%.
Your products, whatever
100%.
it is.
I always tell people, man, like, if I walk into your event or venue and I don't see no branding inside of that venue or your event, like, why don't you have any, like, you know, posters that got the name of your party on there? You know, why don't you got, everybody just wants to post recaps of people enjoying the hookah, the drinks, and showing that there was people there. There's no branding going on. If I show a company, yeah, I can show a company that, you know, there's people there, there's people that came out, there's 150 people here. But if a brand or company, if an insurance company gave you $5,000 and said, hey, Stan, I want to give you $5,000 because we want to be a part of the event, how are you going to make that company feel a part of it? And branding and marketing in the event, opposed to just giving them a table and saying, hey, here's your vendor's table over there, everybody go, you know what I mean? So I think people sometimes overlook that, and they don't see the importance of like the small technicalities of their events, from like drink menus to, you know, compliments of whatever it is that you're giving away, to signage that's there, to stuff that's going to be in the recap, to, you know, just small things. People, every venue you go to, there's TVs in there. People would rather leave the TVs on with sports and bullshit opposed to branding, you know what I mean? So there's certain things that I look at and I always put in the back of my mind that's gonna be in the consumer's mind first. You know, like how we doing product placement right here. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's one thing I don't know, when I see the things that you do, I be like, it makes me happy, because like even your shirt, you got a self-made shirt on, you got all the brands right there, you wearing a hat, like where you from. It's just the small things like most people wouldn't even pay attention to.
Facts.
But I do, because I'm in that world, you know, and you even told me, and I want to give you your flowers. I remember you said when you do your events, you should have a sign, hold it, you know, have something held.
And you did.
And I started doing it. And then when I did my birthday party at your event, I had the pinata with the name on it. Every wall had liquid gold on there. You know what I'm saying? I had wristbands that said liquid gold.
I always tell people, man, since I've been in business for about a year and a half, there's been two events, maybe three, but two for sure, that I'll never forget. One over this All-Star weekend because of how they like decored it, but you showed me another way to really party in my shit with class. I mean, everybody in there was in suit and tie or suit jackets, and then all the females in there were dresses. But like, you turned my space completely upside down. Like, you branded extremely well in there, you know, and everybody who came had a good time. So, you know, I always appreciate you for showing me like what I can do in my own space, and then also showing me like the opportunity to pull different people who normally don't go out to something to celebrate. That's one thing I took from your event, man, is I seen a lot of people in there who I know personally, but I don't see them in the club. I don't see them, you know, at brunch on Saturday or Sunday. I see them getting to their business and doing the shit that they want to do and champion the people that they're around every day. And for them to be at your event dressed up, dappered and shit like that, I'm like, damn,
smoking a cigar.
Yeah, man, it made me say to myself, like, okay, it shows the respect that they have for you, you know, as an entrepreneur, but more importantly, it shows the class that your event and your brand represents, to make them feel comfortable to being there like they at home. I think that's what I took away from that 100%, you know.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, it took a while for me to get to that point. Like, my first event was at Kings and Queens. And I used to manage artists, and I would spend money so they can perform. I spend all this money and taking them out of town. I'm like, man, how can I save money? I'm like, why don't I just throw my own event? So it cost me $800. You know, got my DJ. I had a relationship with the owner, so I didn't have to pay for the space.
Right.
That's another thing, relationships. So I didn't have to pay for the space, so that cut my costs a lot. So DJ, I had chocolate infused liquor. You know, I still was doing the stuff I'm doing now. I was kind of doing it back then. Even my partner, Lay, you know, shout out to my mentor, my Lay, my brother, all of that. But we had TVs with the names on it. You know, we was doing this back in 2015, 16. And I spent $800. I made $50 off the event. So I made a $50 profit. So I'm used to spending $400 or $500 and not getting nothing from it. So I spent that, got $50, and my artist got the exposure. So I always just wanted to level up. You know, like I said, we was talking about earlier, watching film. And just the marketing concept. How can I do it bigger? So I went from doing an event in a bar to doing it at an event space. And literally controlling everything from the security to the DJ. I had an event planner.
It's real.
You know, cooks.
That's real. And you had everybody like confidently doing their job well. Like, you know, some people. I was just talking to my homie yesterday. He's probably the youngest polished comedian that's professional in the city. Meaning professional, like he's at the Improv. Like when you at the Improv, you're doing something. You know what I mean? So I say youngest because he's probably the youngest doing it at the Improv. I ain't gonna say his name. But anyway, I spoke to him yesterday. We were talking about some like skits and content and whatnot. And he is mentally at the point to where he's writing and composing and whatnot for other comedians, bigger comedians that we are fans of. He's in that realm now. Even though he's on Instagram still doing skits and stuff like that and whatnot. But what he was telling me was that, you know, the hard thing is, for example, if you would have... You invited me in today, right? If I would have came 15 minutes late or 20 minutes late, or was like, "Hey man, I don't really feel like giving you the most energy today," you know what I mean? Now it's like, damn, this is what you got to work with. You know what I mean? For your craft and for your project, and that's what a lot of people sometimes. That's the problem in Cleveland. You'll find one or two people that are really, really passionate about it, but then you meet a third person and he's like OCD about it. So the OCD and the person who thinks they're passionate, they don't really mesh. Because the OCD person want to spend 12 hours doing this shit, and then the passionate person just want to spend like, you know, 2 or 3 hours. He want to do it just because he wants people to know that he's doing it. But he don't want to do it to change niggas' lives and like really put people on and, you know what I mean, and be the best at it. I think that's where we kind of get in a conflict at times within like some of the stuff and things that we want to do more in Cleveland. People always say why Cleveland can't work together because niggas is lazy. Niggas is lazy,
and they don't spend,
plain and simple.
Don't spend money either. Like, you know, I could tell. Like, I can go to an event. I'm like, damn. Like when I went to your event at Silks, and I seen the lights, and I seen people at the door. I seen you had the bottles, you know, service over here. I seen all these different things going on. I'm like, oh yeah, you spent some money
for sure.
So when I see stuff like that as a consumer, I'm like, dang. I'm like, okay, he doesn't just want to do. He's not just doing this for parties. You're doing it for the experience. You want people to feel good. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of stuff that we need. Facts. So when you do stuff, I don't mind coming because I'm not going nowhere. And I spent $2,000 on my outfit. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I got tailored and got my hands and feet done. And then it's just like. It ain't you could tell they didn't invest in themselves.
For sure.
That's how you get people to come back, you know, to your events. Another thing too, invest in your cameras. Have photographers there, videographers there. Have that type of stuff because you can capture it. Because even if somebody don't show up,
you can still show them what they missed or
show them exactly.
Yeah, for sure. I also, to add to that, man. I think where we are right now in the city of Cleveland, meaning that like, you know, again, during All-Star Weekend, I went to this powerful brunch. And it was powerful for me because the people who were getting honored were important people. You know, like one was a millionaire. A couple of them were millionaires. Mayor of Cleveland, you know, political leaders, and I was able to come in from a sponsorship aspect, but also address the room and say something. And for the first thing I said was, you know, for a 28-year-old individual who's probably the youngest in the room, this is one of the most powerful rooms I've ever been in Cleveland, because you're in the room with the decision makers, like the actual, like I said, mayor, political leaders, you know, real estate developers, like the people who are actually funding and moving and shaking in the city from a financial, political, and social realm. You know what I mean? So for me, it was like, all right, it's a blessing seeing this, but it's also, it's a bad thing that my peers aren't here. When I posted that event, I probably had like 5 people hit me, like, because they seen Rich Paul was one of the people. They seen like some of the people who were there. They were like, "Oh shit, I wanna be in the room because Rich Paul's in the room." But what I think people don't understand is, what the fuck are you going to say to Rich Paul? Really? What are you gonna say? I'm this and this and I do this. Why?
Yeah.
Why even speak if you don't have the work, the relationships, the something to prove, the resources to prove that if I'm asking or saying something, like if I'm gonna go to Rich Paul, if I'm gonna go to a super celebrity, I just don't want to introduce myself and say, hey, this is what I do. Nah, nigga, I want you to know this is what I do, so that when you do your homework, you can either see that it's real, or you can see that I done been in a room with you more than once or twice before. That's one thing I can say about a lot of my peers is I've been in a room with them more than once. Or I've been in a room, they probably didn't expect me to be in a room. Like, what the fuck are you doing here? You know, and I think for me, that's where I'm able to get a lot of my respect from my older peers, you know, because they'll see me in the same rooms once or twice, and instead of asking them, why are you here, it's more so of, how can we work together now? You know, so I think that's where I try to challenge my peers and my immediate friends is like, yeah, we can be in the same room with some of these like super influencers and whatnot, but realistically, how are we helping them?
Yeah.
How are we helping them brand? How are we helping them, you know, yeah, they making money, yeah, but obviously we think that they going to give us something. Because we asking for some type of validation or whatever the fuck it is. So it's like, I think people, again, we look at that as opposed to looking at like the actual true people who are moving and shaking and doing this stuff. So I say that to say I want to be able to create something now that allows that 25 to 35 age group to kind of mesh together more. It can't be in the clubs only, because I don't want to be in the club yelling in your ear, having to like come up close to you and smell everything on you just to say something in your ear about what we're going to talk about next week. You know what I mean? I'd rather be in a controlled environment to where the music ain't too loud. I can see your face. I can see if your nails ain't done, maybe, you know what I mean? Opposed to having to like secretly have to figure out or go to your Instagram to see what you really look like because it's night and it's dark in here. I think that just gets old, you know? I think there's a lane for it, but I think within growth and like seeing yourself not get pigeonholed in one avenue, you have to kind of like turn the lights on and turn the music down to really have real conversation. And that's where I'm at now. I just want to have real conversation. I want to see all my friends that I'm friends with. I want to work with them. You got a business, if you doing something, if you're an entrepreneur, what can we do? How can we do it? Who can I connect you with to where we can not just get some money, but we can move the envelope? I don't want my kids having to feel like they got to go to college to get a job, you know? So I want us to think about that for all of our kids and younger people that we're coaching and mentoring right now, you know? So.
And one thing I want to say I respect and I would say admire about you is your polish. Like, you know how to talk. So you going to be able to get in certain rooms just by the way you carry yourself. Your attitude is so important, you know, and how to articulate yourself. So I'm in those rooms too. You know, I was at I did a toy drive in my neighborhood, and we gave out like 600 toys.
That's heavy.
That was just a vision I always had, you know, and the senator came there. Senator, Caucasian man, and he donated like 300 ties to me for my nonprofit.
That's heavy.
Then gave me a humanitarian award. So it was influencers that was there. They didn't even know who he was. You know what I'm saying? It's like your favorite person don't even know who the person giving me, you know, something. And I'm not saying that as a flex, but it's just more so I'm in certain rooms just by the way I carry myself, how I talk, my attitude, even the way I dress, my appearances, everything. So I understand like everybody may want to wear jeans and t-shirts and stuff, which is cool, but every now and then dress up a little bit, you know,
For sure.
be more polished. And then
For
you're going to
sure.
get to a point where
For sure.
you like Matt, and you can wear a hoodie, and it ain't what's on you, it's what's in you.
That's a fact.
It's what's in you. So that's why if you see pictures or videos and people in certain rooms, I sat courtside at the Cavs game 2 years ago. I always wanted to sit courtside. I didn't spend a dime for it. You know how I sat courtside? Relationships. I went to college with my friend. He's a lawyer, and he helps me with my contracts now. He called me like, "Hey, Stan, you want to go to a basketball game?" I'm like, "Yeah." I didn't know, you know, what the whole, you know, how I was gonna lay out and everything. He's like, "Come a little earlier so we can eat, you know, eat and everything." So I get there. I'm dressed, you know, I always dress.
Right.
Dressed for success. Had the blue trench on with the fur, you know.
Right.
So I get there. I'm thinking we about to go out to eat first. He like, "No, go to the game." We go to the game. Big security guards walking us through this tunnel. We go all the way through. We go to the back. I see Rich Paul. I see Dan Gilbert. I see a bunch of other celebrities. So I'm back there eating with all these stars, and it's me and the lawyer. You know what I'm saying? God play ball with. I was able to sit courtside. I was so close. I was on the floor. I was so close to the bench. Kevin Love got mad. He threw his water bottle and splashed and hit me in the face. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
So, and I always ask people, like, what's more important, money or relationships?
Relationships, man. You know, I've been in Cleveland for 11 years now, you know, and still to this day, you know, relationships is what's been able to, for the past 3 years, allow me to live like an entrepreneur. You know, meaning that I'm spending a lot of money, but I'm also bringing in money to sustain my lifestyle. That's one thing I always tell people is like, if you don't have a 9 to 5, can you still sustain the lifestyle you live? You know, and that's one thing that I was confidently able to like answer myself. I can sustain the lifestyle I live. I can still do stuff and travel and go places and whatnot, even from working with myself. I'm gonna find a way to get it, you know, but I'm that confident now. And to go with what you said though, you know, I always say relationships because, you know, some people don't even know what to do with the money. Yeah, you could pay bills and buy shit and whatnot, but what are you really doing with the money that's gonna make the relationship not matter? But then ultimately level you up. I didn't have relationships to where like, man, I didn't put two people in the same room who didn't even know they'd be in the same room. And when they see each other, they're like, what the hell are you doing here? And now they reconnected and best friends again. And for me, it's like, damn, I only did that to bring my homie in the room so that he could see something different. Mind you, he knows the nigga who's we all here for. So I'm like, I'd be thinking of certain situations that, you know, kind of play out in my hand. And I'm like, relationships is what were brought to me to be able to sustain the things that I'm doing in my world. Everything that I do is relationship based because, you know, number one, I don't have no immediate mother. I don't have no immediate, none of my emergency contacts in Ohio is my family members. You know what I mean? So I had to get somewhere with these people to be able to have them as my emergency contacts. If I get into an accident, God forbid, or something, the first person who's going to be come to the hospital is not somebody in my family. So I had to make sure that like the people who I'm trusting to really build with, I treat them like family. You know, there's times I've spent a lot of money on people just because I believe in them. I want to see them win. I don't give a fuck about how much money you make after. I care more so about the brand and how people are going to respect that moving forward. You know, like even with you, when you was like, Matt, I want all this champagne, I could have been like, nah, bro, you know, it could have been easier doing the Andres and whatnot and whatnot. But I don't care about making the money for the Bel Air. I didn't make no money from that. I bought it just to give it to you at a cheaper price. So it wasn't for me to like try to make money or nothing. It's for like the look. It's for the brand. It's for the, you know, the overall picture of it. I think that's more important for me is making sure that whoever I'm working with, and it's not like I'm expecting anything back. Like, it's not like I'm going to do this good deed so that if I can go back around, you're going to do the same thing for me. Nah, I don't expect that. I expect if you fuck with what I'm doing, you're going to treat me like how I treat you. If not, then I know how to move accordingly. And I know not to fuck with you like that.
Right.
You know, that's that's my fault. But if I know that we got a good relationship and you pushing and you giving as much and you want to see me succeed as much, I'm going to push you. I'm going to be your biggest critic and your biggest fan, you know? And I think that's what we need more of right now, is just people who's going to push our friends, who's going to celebrate our friends, who's going to champion our friends. I just called one of my friends before I got up here, just I know she's in a new relationship now. You know, she's doing a lot of work in the entertainment field. She's on the news. She's working for working for a big sports team now, but I know she got a new relationship. You know, so for me, it was like, well, shit, congrats. I know that's important for you. I know that's something that we've talked about in the past as far as like a difficulty, you know, being a workaholic. But I think we just lose focus on like the simplicity of things. You know, every room that I've invited you in, man, I always realize that, you know, you either meet somebody new in there, you connecting with somebody that you know but you don't know like that, you know, or you getting somebody new to sell your product to, tell about your business, you know. And I think that's ultimately what excites me, is when I'm like, hey, y'all two don't know each other, but y'all both do some dope shit. Y'all both making over 100,000. Y'all both damn near in the same field, but y'all just on two different towns. Y'all, you on this side of town, you on this side of town. How can y'all meet in the middle?
Right.
I don't want no part of it. Shit, I just want to be able to clap for both of y'all. Instead of individually clapping for y'all together. I mean, separately. That's what I look at, you know. A lot of cities that I go to, man, I've traveled a lot. I always see that there's like these super groups of individuals who do a dope shit, you know, not just party-wise, but like men, 3 to 4 guys who are brothers who do dope shit for the community, you know, and that's what I don't see a lot of it here. That's where I'm trying to fill that void. So
yeah, that's the thing too. Like you've worked with me, but you never asked for a dime. And not only you haven't asked for a dime, but you also, it's no jealousy. I don't even feel it. I'm a big energy guy, so I work with a lot of like big people, but I can feel when I walk in the room and it's like hate. You know, they might be upset or feel away because the way I dress, or if I got the girls with me, trying to figure out, well, how is he in this limo, or how is he doing this, how is he doing that?
That's real. And
it's like, dang, like, why we just can't celebrate each other? You know, all the shit I went through, you know, being homeless and foster care, being shot at, and our first office in Bedford, I was homeless. I slept in there. People didn't even know. You know what I'm saying? For 6 months, and I'm taking baths at Planet Fitness. So all the stuff that I went through and I had to endure, I got fired from my last 3 jobs. That's why I've been working for myself for the last 4 years.
Right.
I ain't about to get fired no more.
No more. I feel you on that, man.
And I didn't even get fired because of my work ethic. It was because of my aura. They felt that I was, you know, influencing the guys because I was talking about entrepreneurship.
So they were about leaving and doing their own things and stuff
exactly.
like that. And they was like, nah, we got to get them out of here. Yeah.
So, but I just want to let you know, bro, keep everything that you doing, you know, you doing great stuff. Like, even if it's not noticed, I notice it.
That's real.
From the marketing, you know, perspective to your attitude, the way you carry yourself, you know, just showing love. You know, I already know, like, if you don't come, you probably telling somebody, hey, he have an event, or check out this, he got this going on. You probably showing somebody, and I don't even know. But I can feel that. It's certain people that I work with that I know is love. And I feel like if it's more of us do stuff like that, our city my city,
right,
not from here, it's gonna be a way better place. And it's crazy that you're not even from here, but the impact that you're making. Now, you came from New York to Florida to here.
Right.
Anybody that I know that's not from here and come here, they do well. How is that?
I think we just come with a new perspective, you know, and we don't get caught up in the I look at Cleveland as like a city like from New York. It's not as a big city, meaning that, like, you know, I was just telling my friend this, and I'll end it on this. Like, you got to know your hustle, you know. When I say I'm a hustler, I don't need to sleep. I'll sleep, but I don't need, I'm a all day, work all day, creative thinking, like, you know, I go off of like energy as well, but that's how I hustle, is off of energy, off of relationships, off of creativity and whatnot. You know, I have to do that here. In New York, everything is open at 5, 6 in the morning. Everything is closed at probably 2, 3 in the morning. So there's like a 2-3 hour gap for businesses to shut down and refresh. You know what I mean? So I always just tell people, I would catch the Chinese bus from Cleveland at like 11 p.m. I would get to New York City at 7 a.m. Chinatown. and my world would start already because Chinatown's active. People are outside. Everybody's walking everywhere. So I'm literally leaving Cleveland, where everything is shutting down, to go to New York. And I was doing this like once a month before I was like driving to New York. And I would take the Chinese bus there. $50 trip. If you ever want to go to New York, it's $50 straight from Cleveland. It's on the bus. It's not the Greyhound, but it'll get you there overnight. And he would drop you off right in Chinatown. But I would see that like businesses was open. I would see that everything is like and moving. So by 7, 8 o'clock, when things are just all waking up in Cleveland, niggas is already at work. Niggas is already on the train. Niggas is already like in motion already. You know, at work, been at work for an hour or so. They at home. You know, so for me, it was like that hustle is different from Cleveland. That's a 24-hour hustle in a way. Cleveland, you can't hustle for 24 hours. Shit closes at 3 o'clock. I can't 2 o'clock. 12 o'clock for real. Yeah. I can't do the same certain things that I do in New York as I do in Cleveland. So I think to my fault, that's allowed me to really like know how to hustle in that field or in this specific area. You know, and that's why I think it was so important to move with a brand and a space opposed to just feel like I have to have a job or I have to be in this area to get money. I didn't want to just be a promoter. You know, I didn't want to just be the person who would knew all the club owners and bar managers and I can throw events and I have to DM 100 people every fucking weekend and shit. Like, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to work with a brand and do both, you know? So I think that's why my hustle is a little different, and you have to know your hustle. You know, if you're a believer in that, you know, you're your biggest critic and your biggest motivator sometimes, then you got a lot of work to do because, you know, it's hard to sometimes satisfy yourself. I promise you, man, the worst thing for me sometimes is I'll put an event together. You know, people will tell me that it's dope, is everything that they thought it would be. But for me, it's like, damn, this is like a little bit off. Like, you know, like, damn, the paintings wasn't like all the way symmetrical. Like, damn, I forgot to put this in here. Or damn, I forgot to get a video. You know what I mean? I'm always like, there's always something else. You know, there's always something else that could be done to give it that extra fine tuning. You know what I mean? Because that's just how I don't get complacent. I'm gonna be honest. I don't get complacent. I didn't been in, again, bro. I didn't been in the rooms where, you know, I'm right next to Jay-Z's man. And I'm in the studio holding the phone for, you know, some of the biggest artists in New York, recording them for their Instagrams. You know, so for me, it was like I seen their work ethics. I seen Mano come to the studio at 5 in the afternoon and leave at 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. Sleep in the studio like this, in the chair, wake up, get right back to it. You know what I mean? So I done seen people's work ethics and how they hustle, which allowed me to see like which lane I can go into and how I can use relationships towards my hustle. So I just always, you know, it's one thing I can leave with is know your hustle, you know your strengths, and don't be afraid to be self-made, man.
You know, and we gonna end it like that. I just want you to tell the people your space, everything that you're doing, so they can rock with you.
Again, Matt Dennis. You know, I'm the owner of the Cleveland Gallery. I'm the brand ambassador for the state of Ohio for Sovereign Brands, which is Bel Air, Bum Boom, McQueen, all available in the state of Ohio at your local liquor store. And I'm a creative. You know, I curate art shows. I curate, you know, social events. You know, I work in diversity affairs within, like, you know, shit that Black people should do. You know, when it comes to culture, and when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to, you know, community. I'm huge on giving back. You know, for the past 2 years, I've been blessed to be able to do like turkey drives and food giveaways and stuff like that with some amazing people in the city. And you know, again, don't be afraid to be self-made, man. You know, I always tell my friends who's entrepreneurs right now, you know, I commend you for the route and the journey that you're taking, but shit, this is only the beginning. It's only the beginning, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just wanted to give you something, man, just to let you know I appreciate you, you know, for coming on.
Oh, yes, sir.
I come bearing gifts.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I like gold, man.
You got in that bag.
Hello.
Yeah, so
I ain't drinking wine in a little minute, man, so I'm gonna enjoy this.
Yeah,
Indeed, bro.
That's my bottle. You know, it's called the Standard.
The Standard.
Yeah. You know. So I'm making myself too.
Okay.
So, if you got any more? You want any more fragrance? I got you on that too.
Oh, 100. Man, I'm gonna say this. Stan, man, there was a time where before I bought any type of designer cologne, I was wearing his every single day. I was going like this, rubbing it on my neck, both hands. everywhere, and people was coming up to me like, "What the hell is that?" And I would tell them every time, man, just my man stuff, just my man stuff. I was just waiting for that spray bottle. I'm just waiting for the spray bottle, you know, because when that spray bottle comes, it's just,
Got it.
you know, it's a little bit more easier to pass around and whatnot. I can give it to somebody, they can spray the boom, boom, you know, instead of having to give them my only joint, you know what I mean? So I say that to say I respected you from that moment, because I remember how many colognes you told me you sold. You know, and it brought me back to that Nipsey mentality that I'm gonna do $100 for a CD, you know, and we gonna get it from that, you know. And you showed me that hustle, that driving around every day, meeting people, buying your shit. I'm like, this nigga hustling different, man. So I respect you for that. I appreciate this.
Man. But yeah, man. I got you on the spray. I got all gold bottles now.
Say less.
Candles.
Say less.
I got all that. But there you have it, Matt Dennis, man. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, that's it.
Appreciate you, man. Let's keep going.
Keep it going.
Ice in my veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play.